Why Charlie Kirk's assassination will start the coming Civil War. They say history repeats itself. I don't know about this prediction though. We'll see what he's got to say.
Charlie Kirk's assassination is a tipping point in America, because Charlie was famous for bringing open, unfiltered debate to college campuses. He was in the midst of one of his signature Prove Me Wrong sessions with his wife Erica and 2 children being present, when on September 10th a sniper assassinated him, just days after a Ukrainian refugee was also savagely murdered on a bus in Charlotte during a race-motivated attack. And
so a little bit of context for people that don't know me, that are just seeing me off this video for the first time. Shout out to y'all. So during this period, I had gone through a break. I pretty much went through overload, you know what I mean, burnout with YouTube. We just got to like 1,000 subs. I went on a couple like trips and stuff like that. I was just like, I was enjoying the weekends where I did nothing. I fucking absolutely loved it. I don't know, something about getting older and having weekends where you don't do shit. It's just satisfying. I don't know what that's all about, but yeah, that's a thing now, I guess. For me at least. I don't know about y'all. But yeah, so this situation popped off and I think I had like 60 videos in the vault. I think I only released like 20 of them. I deleted a shit ton of them because they were kind of like they weren't really relevant anymore at that point. But there were a lot of political videos I made, and I'm not going to release those because honestly, there was a weird, that time period was really fucking weird. It was constantly just negative shit was being pushed into my feed. And I, like with the Charlie Kirk thing, I got really upset. I was really mad. And then the overreaction, the counterbalancing of people trying to just shit on him because of his perspective and like pretty much justifying him dying really fucking irritated me. But I talked to a bunch, like I have a bunch of friends that I'm from like a fair, like in Texas, in a fairly liberal area. So I got a bunch of friends that are very liberal minded or just aligned with the left, whatever you want to consider the left right now. And I had some really good conversations, and they saw my perspective. I saw the perspective. I understand where they're coming from. I don't agree with the way they handled themselves, because it was kind of out of like they constantly, people were trying to tell me when it seemed like they were like either saying he deserved it or people like him deserve it or whatever it might be. They try to like use word gymnastics to get around them justifying him getting shot and killed, because no one should fucking agree with that happening, because all he did was stand up for what he believed in, his opinion. We live in America, which we got the freedom of speech, and we got a bunch of different fucking cultures. If you start acting like this, it's gonna become a war zone. You're gonna have a fucking civil war. You might just have a fucking just a great reset. And yeah, I don't want that. I don't think y'all want that either. I don't think they want that either. I think we like living in a place where we don't have to worry about snipers, people shooting us because of our opinion online or in person, or the color of the clothes we wear, or the color of skin we were gifted when we were born. Like I don't think that's the trajectory y'all want to go. So yeah, it fucking irritated me, but I understand how animalistic people's brains are, how fucking stupid people are, how common sense has been thrown out the window. I'm ranting at this point. Let me just resume this video, goddamn.
All of this a year after Trump's attempted assassination, just around the 24th anniversary of 9/11, an attack that united Americans. And
why'd he do it, man? It's crazy too. A lot of people wanted this whole situation. What was her name? Elena or something like that. I can't remember exactly. The girl from Ukraine. Obviously seems like she was liberal. And there was a lot of people that were covering this because they were like, oh, random black guy goes crazy and stabs girl in the neck, which is fucking crazy. But I hate when it goes to like there's certain concept in this world where you want to talk about violence and crime, or whatever kind of crime it is. Let's talk about the why, but people want to talk about the who. They always want to know about the who, and the right and the left does it. Is this a white guy shooter? Was this a transgender shooter? Oh, it's a black guy with a knife. Oh, he was on fentanyl. It's just constantly trying to, involve and focus on identity politics versus understand, like, fuck that shit. Like, let's talk about the why. Why is this happening in the first place? How can we prevent this from happening? How do we create safeguards and barriers and create more of a utopia and eliminate this fucking distortion to our society? But people don't want to that doesn't get clicks. That doesn't get people fucking angry. That gets people confused, because then they got to think about real shit that's fucking hard to think about, because there's a lot of different ways to approach a solution, but motherfuckers can't think like that. It bugs the fuck out of me.
Yet now these attacks are dividing America more than we've ever seen before.
Oy.
While most people were shocked by this, thousands also expressed their joy over his death. Some of the media even smeared him.
Charlie Kirk is a divisive figure.
I don't even think this is really shocking, because I've seen this behavior online for so fucking long. I don't think this whole situation is shocking, honestly, because there's a lot of like, you can connect a lot of lines where things have happened in the past that align with what this is. I think it's like all the pieces coming together. We're seeing this happen in fucking 20 different angles, 4K on our camera, in our palm of our hand, while we're eating lunch, while we're getting Starbucks, while we're picking up our kids from school. Just on social media, you're seeing this shit. It's fucking crazy. Like back in the day, I thought it was crazy when we saw cartel videos where they're, on the beach, cutting heads off of chickens, but they're not chickens. You know what they are. And I was like in middle school, I thought that was fucking crazy. It was wild. And the fucking quality of the video was shit. And yeah, that was wild. And I shouldn't have been seeing that. And there's a lot of people that shouldn't have saw this video either, because it's going to scar them and it's going to change their perspective on life. It's disgusting. It really makes me question the power of social media, which I've been thinking about for a very long time now. It's constantly on my mind.
Polarizing, lightning rod, whatever term you want to use.
And even the House couldn't agree to have a moment of silence for him, which is why this
this is another reason why our politics, it's a fucking joke.
politically motivated terror attack might just be the one that tears America apart, as it seems a line has now finally been crossed in the country, as his death is a window into how far American political discourse has traveled from division to something far riskier for the entire population. It's why around 43% now believe a civil war is at least somewhat likely in the next 10 years.
Well, I think that's fair. More likely, yeah, but to happen, no.
As we see yet another young 20s politically radicalized guy trying to take down open discussion with bullets, whether it be Luigi Mangione, Thomas Matthew Crooks, and
yeah, once the Luigi happened, I knew that we were on the cusp of some crazy shit. And honestly, I think the craziest shit has not even passed yet. I think we're gonna see a lot of craziness. I think it's gonna get really, really fucking bad. And I don't want to. I hope I'm not fucking right. But people say history repeats itself. And when did World War II start? When did World War I start? Oh, a couple hundred years ago or so. Yeah, isn't that ironic? I hope we don't have one of those soon. And it's probably not gonna be the same, way it was back in the day, but there's probably going to be, whether it be cyber attacks or, there's a lot of different ways and variations that warfare can be happening. It's constantly happening actually right now.
Tyler Robinson, and making a martyr out of one of Americans' most famous commentators is only going to radicalize everyone so much more. Because if you followed US politics over the past decade, you've probably seen him at least once, as he was everywhere from Fox News podcasts, college campuses, Trump rallies. He became one of the most recognizable faces in the modern conservative movement, building Turning Point USA at the age of just 18 into a massive operation by the time he died, with $55 million in annual revenue and over 350 full-time employees. Most people knew him for those campus debate videos where he'd sit at a table with a prove me wrong son and argue with
I know him because of the videos I would see on social media, which would be highly controversial content that was pushed by his team because it was going to get the most clicks, most views, most hate watchers, most support possible. It dove into identity politics a lot. And I'm not saying identity politics is necessarily bad. It's just it can stir the fucking pot when honestly it's kind of like taking our attention from like the task that might be more important to figure out, like creating a solution for things. But nevertheless, the left and the right do this. He did this a lot, and it does annoy me. So yeah, but that's where I know him from. Him dunking on college students.
The clips went insanely viral, and on that Wednesday afternoon in Utah, Kirk was doing exactly this, something he'd done hundreds of times before. He was about 20 minutes into a session when someone decided the conversation was over, with a clean shot from 200 yards away straight into his neck.
That's what they say. Thankfully, like, this conspiracy shit hasn't been on my timeline or my For You page in a very long time. Thankfully. It's kind of back to normal. But there's a lot of conspiracies about this whole situation. Like, I've seen a conspiracy theory, like, you know how, like, they had the pager situation with Israel, and people are considering, like, his Lavlar, which is like a little black mic. They're considering that, like, blowing up and I guess like shooting a bullet and then exiting out his. It's just there's a lot of nutty conspiracy theories. Obviously, there was some immediately about Israel and him, like, denouncing Israel and kind of thinking a type of way about them, and then, like, 2 days later there's probably some evidence out there for different conspiracy theories, and I'm not going down that rabbit hole quite yet. This whole situation, it is very volatile. It's very controversial, and it honestly it shouldn't be. But it is, and it really gives me a fucking headache. So it's why I haven't really talked about this whole situation. It is very, I've thought about this situation a lot when it happened. This isn't something I just blinked at and looked away from, but it's one of those things I just necessarily didn't want to talk about in depth.
Quickly following this, President Trump ordered US flags at half-staff and called it a dark moment. And in the first few hours, we did see some genuine humanity shine through the shock. People who disagree with Kirk politically still offered genuine condolences.
Yeah, the fucking TikTok kid, all the clips I've seen of him have been just like people pretty much shitting on him, you know, bad clips type shit, hate watchers or whatever. It's like blonde kid. He's probably like 20 years old or 19. He looks really, really fucking young. I think he calls his like vape his like anxiety pen. I've seen that clip and he fucking hilarious. But he, I guess I was like, he had beef with Charlie. And like when he passed and he found out the news, I saw the clip, he like cried and teared up and got emotional and felt bad for it. And I can see why, because he probably looks at it like, I kind of want to be at that kind of level as a influencer in the political sphere, but for my team, right? And Charlie was doing it for his team. And so he could be in a similar situation because, dude, let's be real, there's been a lot of shooters that have been white male, probably Republicans. Obviously, more Republicans tend to be more, you know, trained with guns and stuff like that. The gun culture is a little bit more a Southern thing, more of a Republican thing, more of a red state thing. It's kind of goes hand in hand. So I could see where he's coming from, but also just not even considering that, just having the empathy for someone that was innocent, right? He was innocent. He had his opinions. Were they right? Were they ethical? Whatever that might be. It's up for the debate, but still, dude had his opinion and he got killed over it. And that could be me. That could be you. That could be your sister. It's like, I don't want to live in a world where someone's like, fuck that guy's opinion. I'm just going to go fucking shoot him. Like, that's not a good world to live in. You know what I mean? Especially with like all the mental health issues we're having these days. No, we got to nip this shit in the butt.
His wife and children.
Oh, how about that,
sentence, dude?
Look at that.
Imagine being a 12-year-old,
I swear I haven't watched this.
You know, watching your dad fucking die.
Yeah.
Nobody deserves that.
No,
not even Charlie.
We saw celebrities and politics.
No, you talk about a villain arc. That is crazy, bro. That is fucking crazy. Like, his wife is going to bed. No matter what you think about his wife, like there's been a lot of talk about his wife in general because she has political views as well, just like Charlie did. But she had to go to bed after watching him die and sleep in a bed alone, right? Or she probably slept with her kids, but still, like, that is such a fucking huge burden. Like, I can't even fucking imagine what that mindset is. You know, that is something that, like, I don't think therapy can cure. I don't like, I know this is gonna sound cliche, but if you believe in, if you're religious at all, I think like that's the only way you can like heal from that shit. That is like That is so fucking traumatic, bro.
Politicians from all sides of the political
Jesus.
spectrum coming out to denounce the violence.
Yeah.
The Utah governor Spencer Cox called on everyone to stop hating our fellow Americans. Even his biggest opponents expressed some sympathy for his family. But that didn't last for very long, as people began to degrade him in all sorts of personal attacks and radical theories. People said he had it coming because of his views.
But the TMZ shit, I hope he shows that shit. That shit was nutty. They were like fucking going crazy, like some vultures, bro.
Many even saw this as a win for the left, or they just straight out used his death for some other point, all while those on the right demanded total war against the left. Then,
Not true. Not true at all. I think a lot of people are irritated with the reaction the left had, but I don't think there's a lot of people out there that genuinely want violence. They want retaliation. I think a lot of people are level-headed. Now, like I would say I would guess majority people are level-headed and don't want the violence to continue and spread because it's just a cycle of violence, right? If you've seen any good animes, you gotta nip that shit in the bud as well.
and things became even crazier, when people soon realized when those taken into police custody were just decoys. The first was the 71-year-old George Sin.
Has this been actually factually proven? People have been saying this since like day 2, but I don't know if like I love putting a tinfoil hat on, bro. I really do. I really want to know why George did it. You know what I mean? But like, come on, like there are a lot of dots on the graph, and when you have a lot of dots, you have a lot of lines. But still, it's too early to be talking like this, man.
A local activist with a decades-long history of showing up to political events across Utah.
That's
Witnesses
ironic.
captured videos of police escorting Zinn away from
Why was he saying kill me? That was odd, because if you were a decoy and you were caught, but it wouldn't make sense, because if you were caught multiple times as a fucking decoy, you wouldn't say kill me because you know you're gonna survive, because you're gonna get out, because you've already been caught before and gotten out. You know what I mean? That doesn't make sense either. Maybe he's just fucking loony.
the scene. A uniformed officer was then heard saying on the video he said he shot him, but I don't know.
Was that you? We don't know if it's him or not.
No, he's saying shoot me.
Despite a massive manhunt involving federal, state, and local agencies, the actual shooter remained at large for some 48 hours.
Also, to be fair, if this guy saw the way that people, the reception that Luigi got, this is why we, like, for the longest time, like, when I've talked about this kind of stuff, or I've seen people cover this kind of stuff, they've always say that we don't want to glorify the shooter. You know what I mean? You don't want to give too much attention to the shooter, because there's going to be people that want that type of attention, because that's like the only feasible way for them to actually go down in history, if you will. You know what I mean? Or have some kind of impact. And instead of it being positive, it's fucking destructive, it's evil, it's fucking pathetic. I don't know why anybody would want to do something like this, but you can see, like, after Luigi, there might be some people that will envy that kind of attention, which is fucking disgusting, but we live in a fucking shitty world, right?
Until an extraordinary development. The suspect's own father bravely turned him in. Tyler had confessed the shooting to his
crazy.
father and began panicking, realizing how screwed he truly was, looking for somewhere to turn to. And so his father persuaded him to meet a minister and marshal, who then contacted the authorities and took him away. According to officials at Thursday's press conference, Robinson had driven to police headquarters with his father and surrendered. It was also revealed this was definitely not a spontaneous plan. As we know by now, all the bullet casings in the weapon had messages including "Hey fascist, catch," and whoever's reading this is gay. It quickly became alleged that he had
I don't know why, but every time I hear that shit, I think of fucking Drake's album. If you're reading this, it's too late.
some sort of affiliation with Antifa, the far-left group that led to things like Chaz and Chop
There we go.
happening. Robinson had also told family members that Kirk was just full of hate and spreading hate, and had mentioned Kirk's upcoming Utah Valley University appearance at a family dinner. It really just showed how deep political violence has penetrated American society at this point, but it certainly didn't happen in a vacuum. It happened in a US more deeply divided than it has ever been since the American Civil War, and in this kind of situation, history has taught us time and time again that you only need a spark to ignite the whole toxic, volatile mixture.
I don't think because we are more independent, since the Civil War, that necessarily means we're closer to a civil war. I don't think. I think that's just kind of the nature of society in general, with social media and wanting attention, and people kind of with the technology and the luxuries that might be, people kind of like turning into like, you know, he's just being more homebodies and stuff like that. I don't necessarily think having more individuals that act individually is necessarily a bad thing. I really don't. I don't. But I don't think it doesn't put us closer to a civil war. That's fucking nuts.
Just look at how politically charged the coverage came out about his assassination.
Showing footage of people running from gunshots, MSNBC thought it appropriate to provide context. They called him divisive at a time while he was dying from his wounds.
I was irritated. Okay. So I was mad when this first happened. And while people would react, everyone would be like, he was controversial. They would always have to say that. And that like really annoyed me. I was like, dude, he's just a guy with an opinion. To be fair, he's fucking is controversial. He is. And is that a caveat or them trying to lessen the blow? I think it depends on your perspective. If you're really fucking mad at the situation, you're kind of hyper analyzing anything, especially if you think people are the opposition. You know what I mean? It's just, that's naturally going to happen. So just chill out, relax. Sometimes people say stuff that's triggering that's not meant to be.
And the investigation. Charlie Kirk is a divisive figure, polarizing, lightning rod, whatever term you want to use.
We've already mentioned all the people reacting to Charlie Kirk's
I don't think lightning rod's a bad fucking term either. Like, that's actually a compliment.
death with excitement.
Now fuck this guy. He's a piece of fucking shit.
Even mainstream broadcasters like MSNBC made comments to either justify or dismiss the severity. Their first reaction was a suggestion that it was one of his own supporters firing a gun in celebration.
In which a shooting like
Jesus.
this happens.
Yeah, and again, emphasize what you just emphasized. We don't know any of the full details of this. We don't know if this was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration, or so we have no idea.
Bro, seen too many westerns. It's just, yeah, I love Charlie Kirk. Let me shoot off a couple rounds, baby. Bang, bang, bang. What the fuck? What the fuck? Bro uses ChatGPT way too much. Critical thinking is just gone out the fucking window. They just need some kind of cop out, something.
Idea about this.
They then
God
had Matthew
damn.
Dowd on the show
That's
claiming that Charlie
disgusting.
brought this on himself.
He's
What?
been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or
Okay, so I get what your algorithm's all about. So this is just a bad way to articulate yourself. Like, is Charlie Kirk divisive? Yes, naturally. So there's going to be one side of the algorithm that pushes the shit that makes him look like a Giga Chad and he's based, and then there's gonna be another side that and hate farms on the guy and is gonna push like shitty clips out of context to make him look like a villain. It's just naturally gonna happen because he's a political commentator in America, a two-party system. It's just one line through the middle. You pick a lane and you go through. It's fucking stupid, but that's just naturally gonna happen. He could have been like, hey, this guy is controversial, there's a lot of people that hates him, and to be fucking fair, this guy is not a politician technically. He's just a political commentator, and so he's putting himself in the limelight. Why? Because he's trying to grow a business. He's trying to become as famous as possible. He's pushing out as many clips as possible. He's trying to be as controversial as possible, but still probably reasonable to his own beliefs. But there's a way to clip farm with your own beliefs, because you obviously know that there's certain people that are going to go crazy about it because, oh, you can't say that, that's fucked up. And then there's going to be other people that agree with it and be like, God, thank God someone could fucking say this is common sense. Yeah, he put himself in a spotlight and he was trying to grow that spotlight as much as possible. Does that justify him dying? No, it doesn't. And that's what these people won't fucking say.
sort of aimed at certain groups. I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which
Sounds like you're trying to justify him being assassinated. Would you be happy if you were with your family and someone assassinated you because of what you were saying on this fucking show? Because they don't agree with you? No, you wouldn't. No one would want that. It's just, what the fuck are you trying to do right now?
then lead to hateful actions. And I think that's the environment we're in, that people just, you can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place.
He was later
Did your mom, like, he's an old fuck, right? He's an old fart. Like, he heard the saying, sticks and stones may break your bones, Billy, but words will never hurt you. Do these fuckers not remember that shit? Like, what the fuck are we doing?
fired, underplaying what just happened and giving license to anybody out there who feels hurt by what somebody believes as an excuse to take them down. Even the New York Times wrote this obituary for Charlie, but instead of focusing on the Christian family man, they went on to claim that Charlie was a genius for using social media and campus organizing to build a following, which
Oh, that's very smart.
he then presented to donors and Trump-adjacent politicians to gain more resources and access. Or in other words, basically making him out to be a grifter. Even the Oxford Union president gleefully celebrated the death of Charlie. And now on the right, people want
Wait, what?
gleefully
Mr. Abani's Instagram. Who the fuck is this?
Even the Oxford Union president gleefully celebrated the death of Charlie. And
This is the weirdest thing to me. Like, celebrating the death of this guy doesn't make any fucking sense to me. Like, just take your ass to Blue Sky and fucking bitch. Like, it just... There's so many people that have been laid off because of, like, them dancing or making jokes and you know... And honestly, I don't give a fuck if you're gonna do that shit. I might think you're a fucking retard. Do I think you deserve to lose your job? Well, let's sit down and think about this for a second. Charlie Kirk was a Republican, right? He had Republican views. If you align with that more than the left, more than Democrats, whatever it might be, and someone's celebrating him getting shot and killed for his beliefs, then technically your coworker wants you to die as well, right? If you carry the same thought process throughout everyone, then you're pretty much saying that I want everyone that I disagree with to get shot and killed or assassinated. Or maybe not you want it to happen, but if it happens, who cares? Guess what I think about that? I think that's a shitty mindset to have. I think that is very, very scummy. And I think if this happened to the left in the same situation, people would be being crazy and they would be mad at people for making jokes and, you know, celebrating and dancing and all that kind of shit. It's very, very common sense. This is not very hard to come to this conclusion at all. But I think people are they're pretty much fucking brainwashed by their algorithm. Like, they just are. There's certain things that my algorithm has brainwashed me, and I'm not aware of what it is yet. But I love figuring that shit out. I really do. But, you know, it might be like the certain clothes or brands or whatever it might be. Like, the social media algorithms is fucking phenomenal at pushing you whatever that you think, whatever you're more vulnerable to watching and binging and shit like that. So I don't blame people, honestly, because they're like, I do. They're weak. They're weak-minded. But, like, still, I get it. Social media is very, very powerful. And if people could just, like, step back and, like, try to think about the situation. I think when people have conversations with people they have opposing views with, it's a very, very easier way to get to that point. If you're, like, so stuck on that hill, like you're gonna die on that hill. Like, anybody that posts Charlie Kirk's face after he died, I'm gonna unfollow you because you're a bigot, you're a piece of shit. Like, bro, calm the fuck down. Let's come back to reality. Just get down to earth for a second. Step back, look at this whole situation, understand your perspective. Now think about the perspective I'm saying. Right. All right, we good? It's pretty fucking simple. It's really simple. I've probably had I'd say like 5 hours worth of conversations with people about this whole thing, and we get to that point. It's like, dude, I love having conversations with you because every time we have a conversation, I swear I learn something, or I see your perspective and it helps like shift mine a little bit. Or it's just people needed to get out and talk to their friends more often, especially the ones they disagree with, because it's just so beneficial, man.
Now on the right, people want
really is.
pure vengeance. Vengeance
Go
like
talk
we've
to your
never
friends.
seen before. Which is why we need to see on the wider perspective what this really means for America. Utah Governor Spencer Cox called it a political assassination, but his words carried a deeper warning.
Nothing I say can unite us as a country. Nothing I can say right now can fix what is broken.
Well, that's a shitty
Nothing
mindset.
I can say can bring back Charlie Kirk.
At the
True.
FBI press conference following the capture of Tyler Robinson, he then went on to say ominously it was a
I ain't gonna lie. They better put the director of the FBI's last couple words, because he low-key cooked. That I hope he shows that shit.
watershed moment for the country.
History will dictate if this is a turning point for our country.
And that begs the question, what's next? What kind of watershed moment is this? Barbara Walter has spent decades studying how countries slide into civil wars, analyzing over 200 conflicts worldwide. Her research suggests America has all the warning signs of a society primed for a period of heightened violence. According to data published in her best-selling book, How Civil War Starts,
Fucking just fucking tinfoil hat moment, right? What if Trump doesn't want to not be, like, people say he's a dictator and he's a king and everything like that. We'll see eventually once his presidency runs out. But what if he tries to put America in a state of war? So it's a state of emergency, so he never has to leave. Ooh. But then you would have another president, right? Because you had Abraham Lincoln, and then you had the other guy, you know, and the other guy didn't win. So some people got freed. Shout out to all the homeboys.
America's democracy score has dropped. That then puts the country in what some researchers call anocracy, the danger zone where countries are vulnerable to political violence. Now, people will always naturally disagree on when this started happening and which side of the political spectrum is primarily to blame. And it's no secret that the US political system swings like a pendulum from Democrat to Republican. But research from the University
To be fair, political violence happens all the fucking time. Like the actual like racist cops that like profile and beat the fuck out of people and turn off their cams and all that kind of shit. Like that does happen. Like people want to be like, oh, that never happened. That does happen. Like it does. There are bad cops. There's bad people in the world. Like you have so many people in this fucking country. You're gonna have a percentage, like less than 1%, that's gonna be just complete shit, right? So I think political violence has happened for a very, very long time. I think like the world has been fucking crazy, and the shit has been popping off like left and right for like the last since fucking COVID, honestly. Like shit's been fucking crazy. I think there's just a lot of people that this situation and certain situations have gotten mainstream media attention, or people are like waking up. Like some people just never watch news or anything like that, and I don't blame you for not wanting to watch news, because it's typically fucking negative. But I think people are just actually paying attention now. I think that's what's changing, it's kind of interesting. I wish, Charlie didn't have to fucking die for that to happen, but man.
of Southern California indicates that each side is now further apart than the early 1900s. In fact, America has been more polarized for a longer period than any other major democracy on the planet. In the kind of conditions the US might be heading for,
I think that's just in our
evidence
nature, right?
suggests that the annual risk for civil war
Like, think about it, with the great melting pot. Like, I think that it's bound to happen.
conflict reaches 4% per year. That seems low at face value, but consider that's a compound risk of 40% over 10 years, and suddenly it doesn't look so small anymore. Take Yugoslavia. In the 80s, it was described as one of the largest, most developed and diverse countries in the Balkans. Different ethnic groups lived in the same neighborhoods, went to the same schools, intermarried freely. It had been a functioning multi-ethnic state for decades. Then the economy started falling apart, and by 1991, Slovenia and Croatia were declaring independence. US intelligence predicted Yugoslavia would cease to function as a federal state within a year, and will probably dissolve within 2, and that the violence would be intractable and bitter. Over the next few years, more than 100,000 people were killed and 2 million were forced to flee their homes. Neighbors who had lived peacefully together for generations started slaughtering each other, and you can question whether America is really comparable to other countries that had civil wars, but the basic pattern is developing.
I don't think the U.S. is comparable to any country currently in the world. We're so fucking unique. Not just our economy, not just our politics, not just like our population in general, our percentages of ethnic groups and all that kind of. It's very very unique. And so it's hard to compare it to other countries, especially third world countries in general. But why the fuck my boy? Why he got a Spider-Man mask? I think about the situation, and now I'm thinking about like, you know, robotics and AI are eventually gonna like it's gonna take over, and I think we're gonna get to a point where there's gonna be just so many jobs that are like deleted from the workforce. Where he was talking about how the economy got bad, and then that created a lot of division. And I could see that like we have an issue on the horizon where people are not going to have jobs, and jobs are our livelihood. You're supposed to have a job. That's how you make your money. That's how you survive. That's how you own a home. You got to be able to pay your bills. You got to be able to live somewhere. You got to pay your rent because obviously no one owns anything these days. So like, what happens when, I don't know, say 20%, 30% of people don't have jobs anymore because the robots and the AI have paired up and taken out manufacturing. They've taken out transportation. They've taken out the food service. They've taken out like coding, you know, the news. Like there's so many different avenues that AI or robotics or a combination of both can just delete so many jobs. And when you delete so many jobs, you delete so many people's paths or mechanics to have a purpose, because that is the purpose in life, right? And like the only thing I can think of is like some kind of universal just income. And I don't think that's gonna work, bro. I think the only way that can work, and the reason I'm talking about this is because I think like if you pair that up with that amount of people that don't have jobs, the homeless population is going to skyrocket, and there's going to be so many different markets that are going to tank because the consumer base is going to tank, because obviously with capitalism, supply and demand is such a huge it's the basis of it. And if you don't have much supply, or if you don't have, you know, much consumers to begin with, you're fucked. And so I just like I'm just trying to figure out in my head, like, how do you fix this situation, right? If you have AI and robots, because it seems like that it's out of the bottle, it's just gonna happen. You have these companies that are gonna be practically running everything, right? The AI and the robotic companies, they're gonna be like, they're gonna be the workforce. They're gonna own the workforce for all the other companies in America or in the world. And it's like, okay, so does the government need to control the robots and AI, or do we have private, you know, business owners running that shit? It's such a slippery slope. And then also on top of that, like, how does this universal income system even fucking work, right? Because people want to work, and they want to make money so they can have nicer stuff, and it's just in our nature, you know, whether it be advancing technology and stuff like that over time, or, you know, just, I want to have the most Ferraris. I want to have the biggest lot. I want to have the most square footage in my house. I want to have every single gadget possible. Yeah, I want to have the most video games, you know, I want to have the most fidget spinners, whatever the fuck it is, bro. It's just in our nature. And I can see where he's going with this now. Like, I'm actually thinking that we could have a civil war. Like, there could be like one side of the country that's like, fuck robots, fuck AI, throw that to the birds. That shit's not gonna help us at all. And there might be another side that's like pro robots and pro AI and pro universal income. This is fucking weird, bro.
These don't usually collapse overnight. They break down slowly, then all at once, especially when foreign hostile countries do everything they can to make sure this happens. And singular violent events are proven to accelerate the trajectory, even in historical events as colossally huge as the fall of Rome and World War I. But here's the thing though, we don't even need to speculate with historical parallels when we can see what's happening right now in America. Since 2024, approximately 2,000 National Guard troops have been deployed domestically. Trump signed an executive order directing the National Guard to create specialized military units to quell civil disturbances in American states.
If you don't know anything about Iran, this actually a similar situation happened in Iran. Usually when whoever's in power has like a special police force or troops or whatever you want to whatever, specialized National Guard. You know, people are trying to put ICE in this category. You know, people do feel like, oh, we are living in a place where we have a tyrant, right? And I see the perspective of, you know, Trump sending out the National Guard to try to enforce the laws that are there, because just individual states have gone rogue. Which, I mean, that aligns a little bit with history with American Civil War. But instead it was a law that was passed and they didn't want to abide by that law. But now instead it's laws that we've pretty much upheld my entire fucking life with immigration, that people now don't want to it's just fucking backwards. It's really fucking backwards.
All to be deployed at his command. Retired Major General Randy Manor, a former acting vice chief of the National Guard Bureau, said the administration is trying to desensitize the American people to get used to American armed soldiers in combat vehicles patrolling the streets of America. Meanwhile,
I don't think that's true. I think I think Trump is in his last term and he's trying to be as productive as possible and he's trying to get the crime rate down. I really think that is not just on the border, because obviously people illegally coming into America is a crime. And obviously there's a lot of people that came in here illegally in the last administration's time, the last 4 years. And so he's trying to get rid of that problem. And also crime rates, like Chicago. Like when you think of Chicago, you think of Chirac, right? You think of O Block. You think of these cities where people, unfortunately, they have to have a fucking gun on them. Like it's not gun violence that's the issue. That is a necessity. Like that is part of their life. That is part of their culture. I mean, gun violence is very ingrained in our culture in general, just because of the freedom we have to bear arms. But it's to a different level. It's like if you want to survive in places like we're talking about, it's a fucking war zone. And guess what? It's America. It shouldn't be a fucking war zone. You should be able to walk the streets freely. You should be able to enjoy yourself. And yeah, so I think this is a W move by Trump. Because like look how successful he was with Washington D.C. Like the homeless population, the crime rate, people were breaking into cars constantly. Like I go to Houston probably once a year, and there's just certain places you can't park your car because it's just automatically, it's just, the glass is going to be smashed. There's going to be a brick through the back of your window, and your fucking purse, your fucking bag, whatever it might be, is going to be gone. It's just going to fucking happen. That's why you Uber everywhere and keep your car at the Airbnb or whatever it might be. And even then, your Airbnb might get broken into depending on what neighborhood it's in. And Houston is people want to shit on Houston. I'm from DFW. There's good places in Houston, right? You can have a good time in Houston, bro. You really can. There's some amazing fucking people I know from Houston, like some of the best people I know. But still, I wish it wasn't like that. I wish I could go to Houston, park my car on the side of the road, not have to worry about any of that kind of shit, right? But unfortunately, that's the world we live in, and I'm not opposed to trying to crack down on that crime and prevent it from happening. Because honestly, in America, people want to fuck around until there's a fucking soldier, you know, until there's a guy with a fucking assault rifle. People don't like to fuck around then. It's funny how that works.
While threats and harassment against local officials jumped over the past few years, the Capitol Police said they had more threats against members of Congress in 2024 than ever before, with even 2 attempts against Trump himself, when America was just inches away from
Yeah, after the Charlie Kirk situation, I really think back. Like, I think back to this situation a lot, and I wonder to myself, like, what world do we live in where he doesn't, like, move his head slightly to the side, which is fucking crazy. Like, they try to blow this man's head up on live television, and they missed by a fucking whisker. Bro. Dude was, and that whole situation's nutty too. Like, what happened to that guy? His whole fucking apartment got scrubbed, and his family situation's weird. And he was like, he was reportedly shooting from an iron sight on a fucking sloped building, which wasn't like locked down because the roof was too angled. But the video, he's like laying on it. Like when he got shot and killed, his limp body didn't slide down because it was so steep. He was just laying there. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't blame people for being fucking conspiracy theorists, and putting their little tinfoil hat on and going nutty, because there's so many things that are fucking weird about this whole, like, just everything these days. It's fucking crazy.
Trump being dead. And then we can also look at how this division is affecting the population itself. Recent polling shows 65% of Americans feel exhausted when thinking about politics, 55% feel angry, and only 10% feel hopeful. Most troubling of all, 80% can't agree on basic facts anymore. Most critically, people oppose each other more harshly than ever. 43% of Republicans and 38% of Democrats hold very unfavorable views of the opposing party.
Yeah, it's because they understand if you create a villain, it's so, like WWE, like obviously you have the heels and stuff like that, and the reason you have a villain is because you need someone to hate. If you're engaging with something, you want to have that, like, you know, main player, the main character syndrome. You want to push that, because if you have that villain, it's easy for people to be consumed by that kind of content. You know what I mean? And it's it's just very, very fucking effective. Versus a world where we have the right and the left, and they debate and they try to get to common ground, and they try to figure out their problems and see each other's perspectives, and, you know, sing kumbaya. Like, it's just not realistic anymore. We haven't had like a professional political fucking, I don't know what you call it, but like what do you call it, the presidential not nominee, not runner, the whole process, right? Where they're trying to like garner votes and get attention, and they're on tour. We haven't had like a respectful American tour for politics in a long time. I don't fucking remember what's the fucking name of it? I'm blanking. I'm sorry, it's early.
From just 17% and 16% in 1994. And this is where it gets so crazy with Charlie Kirk's assassination. When people live in completely different versions of reality, they start seeing political opponents not as fellow citizens with different views, but as
it's like a fucking character from a TV show. This is all because of social media.
Existential threats that need to be taken out, all whipped up and catalyzed by our media environment. It is basically,
god damn, look at that motherfucker. You know what's crazy? I don't know if this is true, but I guarantee you there's probably like 3 companies that own all this shit. I don't know. Usually when people say that, it's pretty spot on.
Created those parallel universes in tangent with social media. Take campus protest events. They regularly turn violent, require riot police and tactical gear to move people along, or the storming of the Capitol or the BLM riots. Depending on which news anyone consumes, they see completely different events. And we all know by now how social media and its algorithms play into this, as there's barely any money to be made from nuanced coverage that says this was complicated with multiple factors. Now you need 2 or more sides to contribute to any debate, but a healthy debate needs a middle ground, and that's what America has completely lost.
No, 100%. Like, remember the fact checking shit? That shit was off in the speeches, the presidential race. That's what I was looking for. The presidential race. That was the term. But I also think there's a dangerous reality where people can get on social media. They can make videos. Like, for instance, me, I'm not a fucking expert by any means. I'm just saying my opinion with all this stuff, right? My perspective. There's certain things that maybe I say and I'm trying to be factual, and I might get wrong a little bit. I don't know. I try to be as correct as possible, but people can get on there and just bullshit 24/7. Like, there are clips where Charlie uses the wrong information and has been proven incorrect, and I've seen people like actually like prove that he's incorrect in what he's saying statistically, or maybe he's using a case study that's actually fake or whatever it might be. And people can get on there, and like, if I didn't know that, if I don't see this clarification, that clip slaps. It looks based as fuck, and like, the information he's saying makes sense, and it's like, oh, damn, he's cooking, you know what I mean? But he could be completely wrong, and we live in a world where everyone's got a fucking microphone, and it doesn't matter if you're correct or not. It's just how much attention can you get, and will it keep on going upwards? Will you keep on getting views? Will you keep on getting likes? Will you keep on getting comments? Will you keep on getting interactions? Because the algorithm wants to feed whatever it's getting the most interaction, and it doesn't matter if it's correct or not. It's kind of why I like Twitter, because of the whole what do they call them, the it's like a clarification. It's oh fuck, I can't remember what it's called. It's like community notes, something like that. But yeah,
because of the way the media treats issues and completely dehumanizes those on each side of the political spectrum. And while this isn't exactly new, it's getting so much worse in the last couple of years. And this sort of violence has a nasty habit of snowballing. Take the 2011 shooting of Congresswoman Gabby Giffords. Within hours of the tragedy, both political sides were blaming each other's rhetoric for creating the climate that led to the violence. The shooter turned out to be severely mentally ill with no real coherent political ideology, who actually voted for independence, and his friend said wasn't left all right, but that didn't stop the blame game for slogging on for weeks. When Martin Luther King was assassinated in 1968, things got way worse. Riots erupted in nearly 200 cities within hours. 43 people died, 3,500 were injured, and 27,000 were arrested over 10 days of violence. And the significance of this, though, was that 3 TV networks basically told the same story to the whole country. People could disagree about solutions while agreeing on basic facts. But America no longer has that luxury anymore, as we can quite clearly see from the world's reaction to Kirk's assassination. It's a horrifying thing to see because back in 2021, MIT researchers working with the Club of Rome updated their modeling and found that we were on track for, quote, the terminal decline of economic growth within the coming decade. In 2022, they put out the latest study called Earth for All that basically asked what happens if we keep doing what we're doing. And their answer wasn't exactly upbeat. They ran 2 scenarios through 2100, one where we muddle through too little too late, and one where we actually get our act together. The muddle through scenario shows well-being dropping by 40% in wealthy countries by the 2050s, with regional societal collapse becoming more likely as social tensions, food issues, and environmental problems start feeding each other. Today, we're already half through 2025, and guess which scenario we're following? Yes, it's not the optimistic one. And this is all before just the recent events of the last month. And while plenty of people think that these researchers are just professional pessimists who've been predicting doom for decades, their track record has actually been pretty solid so far. But whether you believe their projections or not, the basic point is that when societies are already stressed on multiple fronts, economically, socially, environmentally, they become way more vulnerable to what researchers call chain reactions of bad events. One bad thing happens, then another, then another. But it's why
I think that honestly, I think the only way you can have like world peace, theoretically, is if you have some kind of overarching connection with every country. And I don't know what that looks like. Where pretty much everybody's in agreement. Like, it's so fucking tricky. Because the nature of the game of humanity is competition. And that goes from country to country. That goes from state to state. Whatever y'all call states in your country. You know what I mean? It's, you know, that goes from person to person. That goes from political representation to other political representation, political party to political party. It just, competition is embedded in the nature of humanity. I think that's because of evolution, and that's why we've been able to survive for so long. But it has some drawbacks. It really does. And I do think, like, I kind of think we're fucked in a way because we are so divided, not as a country, but as a world, right? There's only so many resources in this world, on this planet, or in the relatively space that we can attain, right? Eventually we'll be obtaining stuff from like Mars and shit like that, asteroids and stuff like that in the near future, I hope. But yeah, I think it's, I think somehow we have to come together as a world, and it's just fucking, it's just so far out there, but and it's the only way we're gonna be able to truly succeed as a world. I don't know.
It's clear that Kirk's assassination seems to be a huge tipping point in America, adding so much fuel to the fire of a country where 80% can't agree on the basic facts, where political violence is getting more calculated and targeted, where to be in politics and give your opinions in America means you have a very high chance of being killed, where our media, politics, and social...
Like, for instance, with the ICE, like, a lot of people want to say that ICE are like evil people, that they're demons, they're just random guys, you know, just dressed up in masks and stuff like that, and they want them to remove their masks. And the reason a lot of these people want them to remove their mask isn't because they're doing their job. It's because they want to be able to know who they are. They want to know where they're from. They want to know where they live. They want to know who their family is, because these people are violent and they want to retaliate. They think they're, in Star Wars. They think they're in fucking Rebel One or some shit. They think they're the rebellion, and it's so many like childish, stupid fucking mentality things that add up over time, where common sense has been thrown out the window. And it's so easy if you just take 2 steps back and think about the whole thing. Like, why do ICE agents not want their faces shown? Well, you're already trying to dox their locations. You're already trying to track their movements and stuff like that. There's already been shootings on these government officials, or whatever you want to fucking call them, right? Why the fuck would they want their faces to be shown? That is crazy. Like, that would, like, imagine people finding out who an ICE agent is, and then them doxing that guy's name, and then it just, they have kids or they have a wife. It's just not good. It's not good. It wouldn't end up good.
Media all then reward division over unity, where people are quite literally excited to see their political opponents get taken out. The question isn't really whether America can survive any single political assassination, but whether it can survive becoming the kind of country where political assassinations feel inevitable.
Yeah, where's the fucking empathy at, bro? Come on, man. Where's empathy at? Like, I've heard all these fucking stories after 9/11. Everybody was like a lot more nicer to each other. Didn't matter if you're right, if you were left. Like, people were fucking happy to see firefighters and first responders. They were like the fucking heroes of the world and shit like that. I was just a kid. I don't fucking know. It's just weird to me. Like, we have a situation like this, and I'm not trying to compare this to 9/11, but this is a very traumatic moment in society. And it was very, very fucking jarring to see a lot of people's, I don't want to say true colors, because I think people just get weird with politics, especially something that's so explosive and happens so quickly, and it's all over everyone's pages. And, it's kind of disgusting to see some people's true colors. And I'm not saying if you fucking vote blue or if you vote right or whatever it is, it's not what it is. It's, do you have empathy or not? Like, can you have fucking empathy? That's all I'm asking, man. Like, just, it's a human being. Like, people have perspectives, and they might align with them, they might not, but still, at the end of the day, people got fucking opinions. You want people dead over opinions? What are we doing?
The most shocking thing about all of this is that not that many people are even surprised. It almost just felt like something like this would happen, and it probably will continue to do so.
Yeah. And then if you talk about it, they're going to be like, well, there was this shooting at elementary school or middle school or high school. I can't remember exactly which one it was in Colorado. Fucking guilt tripping people, bro. It's like these fuckers. It's like, oh, y'all are talking about politics on social media? Y'all haven't talked about any fucking shootings this year. It's like, what the fuck you talking about, bro? What the fuck you talking about? Trying to fucking compare fucking tragedies. Like, you're fucking talking about LeBron James and Jordan. Which one's the GOAT? Which one's worse? Get the fuck out of here, bro. This is a good video by Moon. This is a topic that kind of pisses me off a little bit. Go like the video. Tell them Trizashi sent you. I'm gonna read a couple of these comments though. Society has been intentionally divided. Okay. America is being destroyed from within. This is a typical move straight from the politician's handbook. Create a problem, divide the people, and turn to Orwellian measures to fix it. Wow, social media worked, helping you connect with your friends and starting a civil war. Really great invitation. Oh, invention. Yeah, no, I hate, like, when I talk about this situation, social media gets dragged through the fucking mud. And there's a lot of negative things that happens with social media. There is. There's a lot of mental illness that comes with social media. People are very obsessed about likes and comments and attention, and just fucking seeing that number go up. Oh my God, it's lower than it usually is. Fuck my life. It's a very corrosive thing. But there's such a beauty to it too. And that's not talked about enough. Social media has connected the whole world like it never has before. You know, I can know what a guy in fucking France or China or Japan or whatever it might be, India, you know, um, whoever it might be, wherever they are, if they have an internet connection, if they got a Starlink or whatever kind of connection, we can be in touch. We can interact. We can interact with something that and find common ground and, you know, create friends and stuff. It's a very beautiful tool. You know, my friends that I grew up with that live far away now, or my family that I don't get to see often. Like, I get to be connected with all these different people. And maybe I don't post often, but I get to see their shit. It's really cool. And then I get to share stuff that I think is just interesting. And people might be like, oh, this is cool too. And then, yeah, social media is a beautiful thing, but it's also a dark thing, you know. And I think that's life in general. You gotta appreciate the hard times to really enjoy the good times. Contrast is key with anything. It's not just for photographers. It's a big part of life. Life started going down. Oh, Jesus. Life started going downhill since around the year 2000 and 2012. Despite being young, I could palpably feel people changing. And after the year 2020, everything has sucked. Jeez, bro. There seems to be no more love or joy or fun or friendships or relationships or togetherness. Life just sucks now. This sounds like you might just be online way too much and need to go touch some fucking grass. Now, I don't know this guy's like life in general. Life can be really fucking hard to some people. You know, the hardest thing you've ever had to deal with is only the hardest thing you've ever had to deal with. That hardest thing could be 10 times harder for someone else, type shit. There's a lot of different tiers of difficulty in life in general. So I'm not trying to say like life is easy or anything like that, but I do think like no matter what year it is, you can find the beauty in life. So yeah. I guys, that 2012 end of the world prediction by the Manions was real. Oh Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm tired of this doomer shit. I really am. I think it's a bummer that Charlie Kirk got shot. I think it's fucked up. I'm really irritated with the people that like dance and celebrate it and try to justify his death. But at the same time, I understand social media, and I understand that I don't know what they're watching. And what their feed is showing them. And if it's constantly, if your feed's like optimized into pushing hate content towards Charlie Kirk, I get it. I understand, like, it's gonna warp you a certain way. You know what I mean? Just get off that shit. Just get off of it. Same thing with the right. If you're just constantly watching political bullshit, just unplug. Go for a walk, call a friend, call a loved one. Fuck, if you don't have any of those, go meet some people, you know, go chat it up with some people, join a club. I don't know. But just go be with people in person, man. I think a lot of people don't do that enough. And I think they need to. But yeah, this was a phenomenal video. My name is Trizashi. This is Trizashi TV. Shout out to everybody watching this video. Still hit the like button. Help push it out to more people, man. Comment down below. Let me know what you're thinking of anytime I make a video. I would love to hear y'all's feedback on anything. It could be just one little side opinion I had. Just put a timestamp in there and I'll know exactly what you're replying to. And yeah, hit the sub button. Let's get to 10K. Man. What a time to be alive. It's a crazy time for sure. I hope we don't have to live through any civil wars or world wars or anything like that. And I think that this generation is a very soft generation. I'm Gen Z personally. But I also think it's it's a weird time to be alive because I think we get to see so much cool shit with the technology and where it's at and where it's going. It's very interesting to see like the plot threads continue, but at the same time it is a shitty time to be alive as well. And I think that's why the birth rates are at where they're at and where they're going. You know, there's a lot of people that probably would be parents, but they probably don't want to bring a child into this world. But It is what it is. Comment down below, like the video, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Deuces.